We got 7 different stories from 7 different media outlets, you guys. It's time for another episode of Regan's Newsround. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with another episode of Regan's Newsround. The time is just gone 9 o'clock in the morning at 18th of April 2024, just for reference for those at the time that this is being recorded. This is where we cover 7 different stories from 7 different media outlets of stories, guys. And we start here with The Guardian with the headline that asylum seekers are moving out of the ex-RAF site in Essex after safety risks have been found. Concerns were raised about a Wethersfield site relating to radiological contamination and unexploited audiences. Now, I'm sure that I've covered a story in the past with regarding to a place where there was radiation not too far from it, and this is probably the similar case to it, that perhaps there's still not been any update or change to it, and this is the Guardian that just possibly highlighting this again. I'm sorry, just knocked the mic there. So it's entirely possible this could be a rehash of a story that I've covered a while back with regards to radiological. I'm pretty sure it was here, Wethersfield, where there was some kind of contamination, and the kind of was like nothing was kind of done about it. Everyone was kind of just like ignoring it and just not really paying much attention to it, sort of thing. And what a surprise! I think there were talks about the concerns of that, and now you're seeing the asylum seekers being moved out because of the dangers to it. Because obviously, they have human rights. We don't want them getting radiation or any kind of contamination that could end up killing them. Because whether you like it or not, you may not want these migrants or immigrants in our country, but these are human beings, and we can't let them die. We can't let them get sick. We have a duty and responsibility to look after them while they're in our custody. Whether we want to deport them, whether they can legally claim asylum or not, and deport or keep here, we still have a role and responsibility to look after them, and I think that's really important to highlight here. So let's read a bit more into this. So asylum seekers staying at the former RAF airbase that is used as the Home Office's largest mass accommodation site were moved out after safety risks were identified, including radiological contamination and unexploded ordnances. Planning permission for the Home Office to use the Wethersfield airfield site in Essex for a 3-year period was obtained last month, with the granting of a Special Deployment Order (SDO), circumventing the usual route for obtaining planning permission from a council. But the SDO highlighted a number of concerns about the site relating to contamination risks from gases, radiological contamination, and unexploded ordnances, along with suitable storage for fuel and other hazardous substances, and satisfactory arrangements for drinking water. Weeks after the risks were published, it has emerged that 70 asylum seekers are being moved off the site into hotels. The revelation is another blow to the Home Office plans to reduce asylum seekers' hotel use and provide what they say is as cheaper alternatives. A recent report from the National Audit Office found that mass accommodation sites were working out to be more expensive than hotels. And this is the thing. And who signed off on most of these different sites and that to get them out of the hotels? It was mainly the former Home Secretary, Suella Bradford. Like the barge and other places. Now you're finding that these places that we're taking them out of hotels, they're costing more than they need. So, it's not nice to know that your taxpayer money that you're spending on this is actually more than it needed to be just to get them out of hotels. The news about Wethersfield following the disclosure of contamination and unexploded ordnance risks at RAF Scampton, Lincolnshire, another controversial mass contamination site. The Home Office has scaled back the numbers to be accommodated there from 2,000 to 800. It was expected to open this month, but has reportedly been delayed till June. And this will continue unless they deal with the contamination. If they're not going to deal with the contamination, then this is just going to continue to reduce because of the health and safety risks. The Home Office has been ordered to initiate a program of intrusive ground investigations to access contamination at Wethersfield. The Home Office did not respond to questions about specific risks identified in the SDO, nor did officials say whether they had produced the required reports about these risks, which are highlighted in the SDO 10 months after the first asylum seekers moved in last July. Home Office spokesperson said, Wethersfield is safe for asylum seekers and we're working at pace to ensure we abide by the conditions in the SCO. Oh yes, guys, the conditions are perfectly safe, which is definitely not the reason why we're reducing the numbers at all. Definitely not. Graham Butland, the leader of the Braintree District Council, said the council had written to the Home Office requesting urgent copies of all the relevant technical documents and plans under the SDO to report our duty in safeguarding the interests of the local community and those living and working on site. He said the council was awaiting a response from the Home Office. Maddie Harris, the director of Humans for Right Network, which supports asylum seekers accommodation at Wethersfield, said, the Home Office continues to put the health and welfare of men at RAF at Wethersfield at risk. We have heard from hundreds of men held there. Now further support by the contents of the SDO that the site is not fit for purpose. Rather than providing safe and secure accommodation, the Home Office insists on pursuing its harmful policy of accommodating men in poor conditions. The Home Office said, we have always been clear that the use of asylum hotels is unacceptable, even if it means costing taxpayer more money, which is why we have moved asylum seekers to former military sites, which we ensure are safe to accommodate to asylum seekers prior to use. Yes, they are safe prior to use, even though there may be radiological contamination. But we obviously don't comment on these things, guys. We can't comment on that, which is kind of what they're kind of saying here, and extremely frustrating to say the least. That this ping-ponging of moving asylum seekers around, not keeping them in one place. We hear stories all the time. I've covered extensively about some of the conditions and things that some of these asylum seekers and migrants are being put in. And obviously what's some of you guys know, obviously, the history of the barge and some of the stories we've had there, obviously, about the one person that allegedly committed suicide as well, which was not a nice thing to know about as well. So there are lots of issues, that is for sure, when it comes to migration. And again, it's just another example, guys, of the Conservatives once again not getting a grip on it. They just don't have a grip on it. One person who kind of lost his grip a few days ago was Nigel Farage, guys. And this one from Sky News. Nigel Farage hit out at council culture after police moved to shut down the conference. The National Conservatism conference in Brussels was shut down as Nigel Farage started speaking, with the local mayor saying that the far right aren't welcome. Now, I covered this extensively on the Snowflake Watch last night, so I'll give a little bit in before we read into it. So those who didn't watch the Snowflake Watch, I recommend you guys check it out. It was quite an interesting one there from some of the clips that we watched and responded to on there. Now, now they obviously, the local mayor, that many people excuse me, will say that the local mayor was right to shut it down, to say that the far right are not welcome, whatnot. But then again, you're playing into the hands of the right wingers. That's the so-called term of free speech and whatnot. If you want to defeat the far right, if you want to be able to stop their influence and whatnot, we have to be able to engage them. We have to be able to take them on. We have to be able to debate them. Yes, I know they use dirty tactics, dirty tricks and misinformation and lies. Yes, we are aware of that. Don't get me wrong. And some of the people at this conference, without a shadow of a doubt, is extremely dangerous. I'm not taking away the fact how dangerous that these people are. However, if the local mayor didn't want this conference, if the local mayor knew the kinds of people that were coming, why was this not shut down sooner is the question, I think is what it is. And this action by the local mayor played right into the hands of all the right-wingers, not just here in the UK, but across Europe as well, because they can all turn around and say, look, they're trying to shut down free speech in Brussels, which is why we need to move further away from Europe. And it pushes that point to people, whether you agree or disagree with it. So Nigel Farage hit out at council culture after officers moved to shut down the National Conservative Conference in Brussels. Local officials arrived as a former Brexit party leader was finishing a speech at the event, which was also due to hear from Hungary's pro-Putin leader Viktor Orbán and two Conservative MPs. In Regan, the mayor of Brussels district, St. John Neil Nung, said he had issued an order in banning the conference from taking place on Tuesday to guarantee public safety. He attacked the impact in Brussels cities and San Jose, thought that the far right is not welcome. Tory MP Suella Braverman, who was sacked as Home Secretary last year, was due to speak on Tuesday, as well as Conservative MP Miriam Cakes. Conference organisers said they were launching a legal challenge to Mr Keir's order, adding there is no public disturbance and no order grounds to shut down a gathering of politicians, intellectuals, journalists, students, civic leaders and concerned citizens. Just for reference as well, that the conference did go ahead, despite what you've heard, guys. The conference did go ahead in the end. The police entered the venue on our invitation, saw the proceedings and press corps, and quickly withdrew. Is it possible they witnessed how peaceful the event was? Police officers arrived 2 hours into the event near the city, European quarters, to inform the organisers must be closed. Again, like 2 hours into the event. Why? See, again, a question. Why not beforehand? Officers did not appear to force the event to shut down, and the speeches continued. Again, like, what was the purpose of this? They're not very clear from the local mayor. Sky's political correspondent Dan McCarvey, who was at the scene, said police initially told the venue owner that if the building isn't evacuated, they will start removing people. Well, they obviously didn't. However, they later said they would not be dragging people out, and instead the tactic would be stop anyone from entering the venue. It said this is the third venue chosen by the conference organisers after 2 others cancelled at the last minute due to political pressure. I see. So they were aware. So Sky News are saying that they had 2 other conferences and a third one here, and they were trying to stop it. Police shutting down ideology. Mr. Farage said the conference attendees was respectable people. That's not true. And there were no protests or signatories happening against it. I've not seen any, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've not seen any, like, actual, like, live, like, when we were looking on the Snowflake Watch, when I was looking for footage and whatnot, I didn't see any footage of actual protesting. It's about closing down an ideology, he told Sky News. Speaking to broadcasters as he left the venue, he said he would be closing down shortly, and I decided to make a discreet exit. I'm not going to stay when the police storm the place and get everybody out. I'm not going to get involved in the fight. He added he had personally experienced cancel culture in Brussels, such as restaurants and pubs refusing to service him, but now global media can see it happening. Ms. Brodman accused the police of trying to undermine and degrade free speech, saying that she was there to talk about issues that matter, including border security. Well, you're not doing much. You know, your voice is really not making much of an impact on stopping the boats. You didn't really stop the boats when you were Home Secretary as well. You know, you're not really someone who's really making a difference to people's lives, are you? Sunak had faced pressure to block her attendance at the conference, with Labour Shadow Minister Jonathan Asquith urging him to stop the former Home Secretary giving oxygen to these divisive and dangerous individuals. Yeah, we saw that clip already. Downing Street later said he was extremely disturbing that the conference was shut down, citing freedom of speech. National conservatism is a global right-wing movement which claims that traditional values are being undermined and overthrown, such as ... Yeah, I made that bit up. Under Boris Johnson government in 2020, Conservative backbenchers Daniel Kowalski was reprimanded for attending a National Conservative conference in Rome, with a Tory spokesperson condemning the views of some other speakers, including Mr. Orbán. Yeah, it's funny how 4 years ago, one was, funny how, times change, for the Conservatives. Both Miss Brodman and Miss Cates addressed the National Conservatism Conference in London last year, which was disrupted by protesters. In her speech, Miss Brodman claimed that it is not racist to want control of our borders. No, it's not racist to want control of our borders, but there's also a way of doing it, and the way that you're doing it, it's not working. While Ms. Cates claimed that the falling birth rates are the one overarching threat to the whole of Western society, and that cultural Marxism was destroying our children's souls. Okay, sure. Yeah, children's soul, guys, sure. Yeah, they're taking our children away, guys. They're taking our children away. We got to stop them. They're taking our children away. I mean, it's just so full of nonsense, guys. It really, really is. It really is a lot of hogwash. It really is, guys. You really need to, I really urge people who support these if you're someone who generally believes in Nigel Farage and believes in these conferences, please go do some research, about what they're saying. Don't just take word for mouth of what these people are saying. What are actual people saying on the ground? What are people actually saying, saying in the schools? What are you actually legitimately seeing this happening? Do you actually have evidence to support what these people are saying? Because when it comes to this kind of thing, because I don't see anywhere near enough of it. I live in the UK. I live in England. I don't see this. I see it. When I see these Reform candidates and Reform Party and these right wingers, all I see is a lot of white grown-ass men. I don't see many young people at all into it. So clearly, the younger generation are not buying into what Farage and this right-winger people are saying. I'm not seeing anywhere near enough of it. So, I'm just putting the facts out there. I'm barely seeing any of it. I remember there was a picture in the hallway of Reform Party, and it was all men and women, white men and women in the hall, candidates and that. And I didn't see a single black person in that group. I mean, that just shows you the kind of party that they are. They're not in any way kind of diversified in any way, shape, or form, which I think is a terrible thing, if I'm honest, guys. So moving on, guys, the next one here I've got for you guys is from the BBC. This one here: passions run high as the Lords insist on Rwanda bill changes. So for those who aren't aware, just had to move something over. So it's being ping-pong back and forth right now between the Lords. It's a real right mess, guys, at the moment, the Rwanda bill. Very frustrating to say the least. It's I've said this before. I feel like sometimes rinse and repeat. We have to keep rinse and repeating this, guys. The Rwanda bill will not stop the boats. The Rwanda bill is not going to make a difference. We've wasted more than $500 million of our taxpayer money on this, on something that is in breach of international law, and I cannot emphasize this enough. Even if we left the European Courts of Human Rights, you will still not get these planes off the ground. You will not get anyone to do these flights, and there are going to be lots and lots of legal challenges. You literally have to strip away every single thing that we have in the UK of our basic human rights in order to be able to get this Rwanda bill to pass. When we could, if you legitimately wanted to send migrants out of the country, I don't know, somewhere like Canada would have been a much better preference, We could have done this with Canada, and this would have actually worked, There were other countries that actually we would have been within international law to be able to do this. But no, we're doing this to Rwanda, even though, again, I have to remind people, this is very important. There's a video, you can search it up on my playlist of asylum seekers and immigration file in the playlist there, of us, yes, the UK, taking in, guess what, Rwandan refugees. Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, you didn't know that we were taking Rwandan refugees? Oh, what a surprise. Yes, we're taking Rwandan refugees. So far, we took in 8 Rwandan refugees, guys, even though we're trying to send people to Rwanda. Why do you think that? Answers on the postcard, please. So the government's showdown with the House of Lords over Rwanda deportation bill continues, or ping-ponging as some people are starting to call it. Peers have voted to demand changes to the bill, including an amendment that would ban sending people who have assisted the UK military to Rwanda. Now, I've got to be serious. I genuinely question, for people who want to reduce immigration, why would you want to send people who have helped our British men and women, soldiers that have, regardless of whatever conflict they're in, whether you agree or disagree with the conflict, people who have generally helped our military, our British service men and women, some who have fought and died for this country, why would you want to send those people who genuinely have helped out our military, our British Armed Forces, why would you want to send them to Rwanda? What would you not want to say thank you for helping our British personnel, thank you for contributing to them, thank you for saving their lives? Because some of the actions and words that they have done have contributed to saving lives of our British personnel. Do we not want to thank them and give them the appreciation and credit they deserve, rather than wanting to ship them off to Rwanda? Again, answers on the postcard, please. Earlier, MPs overturned a series of changes to the legislation which were made by the Lords on Monday. The proposed law is set to deliver a much-delayed plan that would send some asylum seekers to the East African nation. The two House of Parliament bills have been protracted standoff over the final wording of the bill. The legislation has been expected to clear its final stages on Wednesday. Again, as I've said, it's been ping-ponging back and forth, whereas we talked a bit about that on the Snowflake Watch. But another vote is now expected on Monday. So, we'll have to wait till Monday to see what happens there. Labour continues to press for a ban on sending people who have assisted the UK military to Rwanda, as peers backed a proposal by 247 votes to 195. So Labour, obviously, as far as I'm aware, Labour do not approve of this bill. They think they will scrap the bill when they come into power. But what they're trying to do is to minimise the most damage that they possibly can to this bill, or what they can do while they're still in opposition. But I believe when Labour do come into power, I do generally believe in this, they will scrap this Rwanda bill. I've not heard any indications that Labour are attempting to keep this Rwanda bill, and I don't think they will. I generally don't think they will. I could be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, Labour have no plans to keep this Rwanda bill, and at the moment they're going to look to try and get in the amendments needed from the Lords in order to minimise the most damage that this Rwanda bill is doing at the cost of the taxpayers as well. Moving that amendment, Labour's Lord Brian of Leamington said now it's the time to give these people the sanctuary they deserve. The Labour peer expressed anger over having been told that his change would be accepted and said that the government had U-turned. The worthless assurances will not do, he said, referring to pledges from the minister. It's time they learned the political consequences of their failure to not give either an assurance that it is bankable or to accept this amendment, because there is little of any support of the failure to do this in the House, and there is surely no majority in the country that can treat these people this way. And by the way, the vast majority of polls, people do not approve of this Rwanda bill. More conservative voters approve it more than disapprove of it. But I think all majority of voters from all political sides believe that this will not stop the boats. Another amendment is backed by peers saying that flights could not take off until a commitment of experts set up to monitor the scheme decides Rwanda has certified certain safeguards. This one moved by crossbench or independent peers Baron Hopes of Craighead, who said he very much regrets having to request changes again, passed by 245 to 208. He said confirmation of Rwanda's treaty with the UK had been implemented and continued to be was needed before we can make the judgment that Rwanda can be considered safe. It's certainly not my intention to obstruct the operation of the bill in any way, he added. The amendment I'm proposing is necessary to make the sense of the bill. It's modest and simple and easy to operate. He was backed by Baroness Chakrabarty, who said it was parliamentary sovereign amendment allowing the Secretary of State to make a judgment call. Labour does not have a majority in the Lords, but crossbench peers are continuing their opposition. Responding to the votes, the Home Secretary James Cleverly blamed Labour for the government defeats. Nonsense. Can't blame Labour for this. This is all on the Conservatives. Terrified that the Rwanda scheme will not work, and desperate to delay or disrupt over 100 votes by stopping the votes, Labour have acted again to block the passage of the Rwanda bill, he said. Again, you guys have the numbers to get it through. What's your problem? It's been another politically senile effort by them, who have no alternative deterrent and no plan to tackle illegal migration. Well, your plan's not working, so just putting it out there. To frustrate and the only solution on offer. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has made the scheme a key part of his plan to stop the boats. People crossing the channel in small boats. First announced 2 years ago by Boris Johnson, the programme has been beset by delays. But it was not in the manifesto of the Conservatives. Let's be clear about that. The legislation made its way through Parliament and was unveiled earlier this year after the scheme was ruled unlawfully by the Supreme Court last year. And the Lords were really chastised by a lot of right-wing newspapers, which was outrageous because they were just simply following the rules of law by the UK and European and international laws. In an attempt to resurrect the programme and prevent legal challenges blocking future deportations, it would say that Rwanda is a safe country in UK law. It would also restrict the ability of the courts to block flights on human rights grounds, something ministers argue is necessary to stop necessary steps to ensure deportation are not derailed by legal challenges. But critics say the scheme will put people at risk and the legislation undermines the independence of the courts. Labour argues the scheme will not succeed in deterring people from making the journey and vowed to scrap it if it wins power at the general election. However, ministers are keen to get the scheme up and running before voters go to the polls expected later this year. Again, at the time of this recording, I do not expect it to get up and running, and I really hope it does not get up and running, and I think it would be absolutely god-awful if it does, guys. I really, really do. What do you think, Ollie? Yeah, Ollie agrees with me. He thinks more than £500 million is a waste of taxpayer money. He thinks it could be spent better. Oh, what's that? What's that, Ollie? Well, no, we're not talking about Scottish politics, but yes. He's just saying to any Scottish viewers, eyes on the prize. I think you guys know what that means, Scottish voters. But yeah. I'm sure the two Davies will talk about that on their channel, Ollie. But just coming back to obviously the this Rwanda bill, this is a dead duck. I generally believe it will not take off, guys. And let's really hope it doesn't. Guys. In all seriousness, There are ways to reduce the migration, reduce the numbers, and it's about speeding up the process. If we speed up the process, if the money that was wasted on it actually went towards, hiring more civil servants to process these claims, we would clear a lot more of the backlog there. We really, really would. There's just no common sense right now when it comes to taxpayers' money being handled by this current Conservative government. And I know people have questions and doubts about Labour, and I do too. And I really do have doubts about Labour, and I'm sure you guys agree with me. However, I would take my chances with a Labour government than a Conservative government as of right now, and I'm sure most of you would agree with me, even if you don't trust the Labour Party. I think you would take your chances with Labour right now than you would with the Conservatives after what you've been through for 14 goddamn years of them. You can see the orb is there. There we go. That was scary. I don't know what happened to my mic there. That was very worrying for sure. But yep, again. I think it's something to do with the wire. I need to be very careful because this mic is connected via a wire. And it might be because I'm knocking my leg into it. So maybe if I don't touch it, maybe it'll be alright. I did not touch you this time. I'm having this battle with this microphone. That's the one thing. I'm having a big battle with this microphone. It's very, very annoying. Very, very annoying to say the least, guys. Just before we go to the next article, guys, if you haven't already, please hit the like button. It'd be greatly appreciated. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, guys. It really does help support the channel. Those things really do make a massive difference. Hitting that like button, sharing this across social media, boosting the algorithm really does. Sharing it across social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, that kind of stuff, Discord. All those things really do help promote and highlight the channel, highlight the videos. They really do make a massive difference, guys. So anyone who does that, yeah, really greatly appreciate it. So even if you can't financially support me, and I'll plug those later, doing any of those things, guys, really does make a difference. Even if you're just leaving a comment on a video, if you're not sure what to say, just leaving a comment boosts the algorithm on my video. So if you guys do that, thank you so much. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And shout out to all the moderators for their continued work on the premieres and live streams for those who come along. Alistair Keir, Jal, Mad Monk, Pedulous. I'm sure. I hope I haven't missed any other. I would say Lee Corn is a moderator too, but he doesn't really come to. He's very busy at the moment. But yeah, all the moderators, thank you guys so much for your work. If I've missed your name, I apologise. But I have quite a few very helpful ones. So this next one, guys, is from it's an exclusive from iNews. It's about a story about pensioners. So pensioners to SAR could help 2 million older people in poverty, ministers have been told. It comes as a charity warning that the damaging stereotype that everyone in their later life is enjoying a comfortable retirement with a large pension pot is not true. So it's not as the moment, yeah, pensioners are doing all right. Most pensioners appear to be doing okay, but it's not always hunky-dory for some of them. Some of them are not having the money that they should have, and it is an issue, and there needs to be addressed, obviously. Obviously, it's different circumstances for everyone with their pensions. So let's read a little bit more into this to get our heads around this. So a pensioner to SAR should be appointed to help pull 2 million older people out of poverty, ministers have been told. So hiring a government commissioner to represent older people would also be in the interest of younger generations, argues MP Joe Geigen. Ms Geigen, a member of the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Ageing and Old People, said the government must show leadership to tackle the problem of pensioner poverty. Yes, so we do have some pensioners, and we've actually seen some of them on like Channel 4 and ITV and some of the news stories here about really old people who are literally getting very little money from their pension, their state pension, and they're really in dull, cold, damp, not in the best of conditions of homes and whatnot. Obviously, we're tying into housing there, but the amount of money that they get from their pensions is something obviously that needs to be discussed. I know one of the biggest gripes I have with the state pension is about the age. I think it's 67 or something before you can claim your state pension, which I absolutely hate. I don't like, me personally, I'd rather retire at 55. But I don't make that decision, you know. But I feel like the longer it feels like to me, not just here but around the world, that that governments continue to make us work longer as we get older, and we have even shorter time from the time we stop working to the time that we die. And I think that's a little bit unfair. That's just my personal opinion. You guys can disagree with me, but that's kind of how I see it. I think yeah, when you reach your 60s, you should be thinking about being able to pack it in and retire. But obviously, if you don't have the money, you need to keep working. So it's different for everyone. But yeah, there needs to be a striking a balance between the older and younger generation. I think so as well. Speaking at an event in Parliament, she joined charity Independent Age in arguing for an advocate who could represent the interests of pensioners on a national level. Independent Age is pushing for a UK-wide commissioner for older people and ageing to advocate for issues relating to pensioners and elderly people, as it highlights rising levels of pensioner poverty. According to the organisation, there are about 350,000 more older people in poverty than in 2012 than 2013, amounting to more than 2 million overall. The charity said the damaging stereotype that everyone in later life is enjoying a comfortable retirement with a large pension pot is not true. Liz Gilligan, the MP for Stoke-on-Trent Central, said the work to tackle this should be led by UK commissioners for living and ageing well, arguing that given how endemic our ageist attitudes, have I become concerned that title of emphasising older people and ageing will alienate some of those who see issues as nothing to do with them. She added, the language we use and the expectations we have lent ourselves to social tensions and intergenerational conflict. I'm sure we've all heard of older people being described as bed blockers and occupied houses needing by younger generations or taking their jobs. I think next government needs to be aspirational, because addressing the challenges of one generation addresses the challenges of others. It needs to create trust and communication across the narrow confines of work, housing, education, health and environment, she said. So the Independent Age Chief Executive Joanna Elston said the Commissioner needed to give older people a voice. In Wales and in Northern Ireland, they have a Commissioner for older people very effectively. We don't have one in England and we don't have one in Scotland, and we would really like to see that change, she said. It would cost a very small amount of money, and I think it could make a huge difference. The charity is pushing political parties to commit to introducing a Commissioner to operate across the UK. She also argued the debate on the future of state pension triple lock, which has come under intense scrutiny over the soaring cost of maintaining the pension, should be put on hold until we have the proper cross-party look at what is an adequate income in later life. The triple lock maintains an annual state pension raise that is linked to the highest between inflation, the average earning increase of 2.5%. There has been an ongoing debate as to whether this mechanism is sustainable in the long term, given the pressures it can be put on public finances. This is something that needs to be addressed. Especially when you look at the wages that people are earning right now are completely op-ed in comparison to the inflation as well. Yes, inflation is coming down, but when you look at that and you look at what most pensioners are doing, yeah, this needs to be addressed. That is for sure. Mr. Elston said, almost every week there is debate in the press and elsewhere about the triple lock, and there are debates about increasing pension age. Yeah, this is what I don't want, personally, but I feel like they're going to do that anyway. We think those things should be put on hold until we have a proper cross-party look what is an adequate income in later life. Lib Dem Work and Pension spokesperson Wendy Chamberlain, who also spoke at the event, said committing to state pension triple lock is important and provides the security for future generations. She said it's important for young people who can get onto the housing ladder or have less security employment, a state pension that they know that they can look forward to. Liberal Democrats and Conservative parties both said they will keep the triple lock pledge in their election manifestos. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer told the Eye last week that he could not guarantee it will be in the Labour election manifesto. Interesting. So it says there that they will keep the triple pension lock, but it's not guaranteed in the election manifesto. So obviously that will be interesting to see what comes out of that. That is for sure, guys. It's definitely going to be one of interest for certain, guys. I mean, my knowledge. I mean, I have most people throughout my working life. You obviously I have the state pension, and then I have a private pension from work as well. I would say to people, if you're a young person listening to this, I'm not the best when it comes to financial advice, but this is some advice that I recommend to some people who are younger than me, who are working decent jobs and whatnot. I'm not sure about with their money or who are doing okay with their money and not 100% sure. So these are some of the things. So one of the best advices I was given that I actually found online was someone said about opening several bank accounts at a young age. And you have one bank account for where you'll get your income from. You have one bank account for your savings, stocks and shares and whatnot. You have one bank account where your bills get paid into, and you have one bank account that you use that you basically have money left over for whatever you want to use it for. And the idea, you put the amount you need to pay off your bills to one bank account, and then you put the majority of your money you would put into shares, stock and shares, savings and whatnot. You put the majority of your money would go into there, a big chunk of that, if you have a big chunk. Depends on, obviously it varies to every person. And then the leftover you would obviously use for whatever you want. So you can spend it however you like, leisure, whatever kind of stuff, Spread the money out rather than having your bank account in one place. Have it spread across multiple bank accounts. It protects you financially as well. And if you can do that, the younger you can do that. If you have children at a young age, consider doing that for their children as well. It just gives you more reassurances that you have not just all your money in one place. Yeah, you have it kind of spread out in different places, sort of thing as well. And it just protects you, protects me, all that kind of stuff. And I thought it was a very, very, very powerful advice. Although I am not working, I was doing that for several years while I was at work. I'm at the moment, obviously, I'm still in negative income when it comes to my expenses. But at the moment, I am shuffling around what I need to shuffle around in terms of my finances. So I'm not going to disclose what I'm doing with that. But just, best thing is obviously don't go splashing all your money. If you can put some money away, try and put some money away for investments, stock and shares and whatnot. It may sound silly, guys, but that can really make a difference to you later on in your life if you're somebody who's at a young age. Even if you're around in your 30s or mid 30s like I am, even doing it now can make a difference in 20, 25, 30 years time, that kind of stuff. So it's really worth considering, guys. So whether you want to take that on board or not, at the end of the day, it's up to you guys how you want to manage and look after your money. Obviously some of you guys have got kids and all that kind of stuff, so you need to look after them. Again, it's up to you, but just trying to look out for people. That's basically it. So I've got two more articles to go. The next one I've got for you guys is from the Telegraph. I don't have one from Open Democracy. I normally have one doing the Open Democracy, but I'm just going to put it out there, guys. Open Democracy have not been pushing enough articles out. I don't know why. They literally only had one article out so far this week, and that was the Labour one, and I wanted to do that in a video for you guys. So if you haven't seen it already, it's probably only members or it'll be public by the time you see this. But this one I have from the Telegraph. But just before I do, guys, myself and Ollie, if you guys can, in any way, shape or form, financially support me in the work we do here, we would greatly appreciate it. Myself and Ollie here, my good friend Ollie, wants to say that those who are YouTube members, they make a massive difference to the work that we do here, and we are very grateful to you. Being a YouTube member has its perks. We have two levels at $2.99 and at 99p. If you are a 99p member, which you can sign up to, you will get access to custom emojis that you can use whenever you are in our Premier chats or in our live chats. Of course, I will always give you a shout out if I see you there. And as a member, if you happen to comment on any of my videos, you will get a response from me. Also, sometimes I'll do some exclusive members posts as well. So all members get access to whenever I do some posts. At the moment, I've been doing a few ones of some of my cats. So if you guys like cats, maybe you'll see them. I might try and think of some other things to do for the 99p members so they get some more benefits there. But if you are a $2.99 membership, you get early access to my content. So whenever I finish content and upload it onto YouTube, I just need to give it an hour or two just to double check there's no monetization issues. Once that's okay, then I make it available to members as straight away. So that means members get early access to that content, and that $2.99 really does make a massive difference, guys. Honestly, there's one thing that really does aggravate me about YouTube, which I'll tell you guys. I'll give disclosure a little something here. So for those who have gifted memberships, they know who they are. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate those who gifted their membership. What really sucks is actually that you can't gift memberships at a certain level. It has to be the highest level, and that is at the moment that is the $2.99. Now I wanted to add a third level, but I'm not going to do that now, simply because if I added another level of YouTube membership, that means, yeah, you would have, if for those who have been gifting memberships, and I really, really appreciate it, you would have to give it at the highest level membership, which is not fair, in my opinion. It's not fair. You should be able to choose, if you want to gift memberships, what level you should be able to do that. There's no option to change that on YouTube, which kind of sucks. So I'm going to leave it at those two levels. But if you do want exclusive content outside of YouTube, you can find that on Rumble or Patreon. Links for them are in the description as well. So if you guys want to check them out, feel free to do so. I also have Buy Me a Coffee as well as another alternative as well. So I do have options outside of YouTube if you guys want to support me in those ways as well. So thank you to everyone who has done that so far. Greatly appreciate it. Plugging over, let's go to this next one, guys. So this one is from The Telegraph. Hugh Grant settles a claim against the Sun publisher for the enormous sum. The actor reaches an agreement with News Group newspapers over allegations of unlawful information gathering, the court told. Now, I know the Telegraph is a right-wing newspaper. I'm fully aware of that, guys. I know they're going to portray this a certain way, and I'm fully aware of that. So before we read into the article, I just want to say about this, that while I'm happy for Hugh Grant that got this nice massive sum of money from the Sun, which is absolutely, I know, all nice and cheerful for him, the problem is that this means that the newspapers are likely to get away with the court case that is currently against them from Prince Harry and other celebrities, because they are buying them out. And Hugh Grant was one of those people, and they obviously must have thrown a lot of money at him to basically make him drop his case. And this really is not a good sign for Prince Harry and their case against these papers. I really want them to bring the papers down, but if they can buy out Hugh Grant, if they can buy out other people, it just shows, guys, that money can win over anyone, which is a sad state of affairs. I don't know if they would settle with money with Prince Harry. I've got a feeling, given his history, he's probably not going to settle. But this battle was certainly looking like, at first I thought this was going to be a good battle against the papers, but now I'm starting to think these papers are just going to buy their way out of this problem. So Hugh Grant has settled a High Court claim over allegations of unlawful information gathered against the News Group newspapers, the NGM, publisher of The Sun, for what he claims is an enormous sum of money. The actor brought legal action NGN in relation to The Sun, alleging that he was targeted by journalists and private investigators, having previously settled a claim to the publisher in 2012 relating to News of the World. Grant's claims in relation to The Sun was due to be considered at a trial in January next year, but the preliminary hearing for the litigation against the publisher on Wednesday was told it had recently been settled. In a series of posts on X, formerly known as Twitter, Mr. Grant said he was offered an enormous sum of money to settle his case against the News Group newspaper, adding that if he continued his legal case, he could be left liable for £10 million in legal cost. So there was also the added factor that if he lost it, obviously there'd be a massive cost to the legality as well. He continued, News Group are claiming they are entirely innocent of the things, and I have accused the Sun of doing phone hacking, unlawful information gathering, landline tampering, the burglary of my flat and office, the bugging of my car, the illegal blagging of medical reports, lies, perjury, and the destruction of evidence. As is common with entirely innocent people, they are offering me an enormous sum of money to keep this matter out of court. I don't want to accept this money or settle. I would love to see all the allegations that they deny tested in court. But the rules around the civil litigation mean that if I proceed to trial and the court awaits me, damages that are even a penny less than the settlement offer, I would have to pay the legal costs of both sides. My lawyers tell me this is exactly what would most likely happen here. Rupert Murdoch's lawyers are very expensive, so even if every allegation is proven in court, I would still be liable for something approaching £10 million in court, and I'm afraid I am shying at that fence. He is among a number of individuals, including the Duke of Sussex, bringing the claims against NGM. Anthony Hodgson, KC, representing NGM, told the judge that there were 42 extensive claims following the recent settlement of Mr. Grant's claim. David Shelburne, Grant barrister, also confirmed in written argument that the actor had recently settled his claim. Mr. Grant, who was in court for some of the hearings, alleged, among others, that he was targeted using burglaries to order. In a witness statement, the Love Actually star said, "My claim concerned unlawful acts committed by the son, including burglaries to order, the breaking and entering of private property in order to obtain private information through bugging, landline tapping, phone hacking, and other use of private investigations to do all these and other illegal things against me." He referred to the statement to evidence he gave to the Leveson inquiry into press standing in Essex in 2011, in which he first spoke about the break-in in his London flat, where the front door was off his hinges at the story, appearing shortly afterwards in The Sun, detailing the interior. He said, "I had no evidence that this burglary was carried out or commissioned on the instructions of the press, let alone The Sun." The actor had been told by a private investigator in early 2022, which prompted him to launch his claim. In his statement, the actor revealed that he was bought his claim after being passed information which showed for the first time that evidence that The Sun had targeted the unlawful activity at me and my associates directly. He said the information included private investigating invoices and payments, that they included the period during which the Leveson inquiry into press standards and ethics was taking place. The judge found that Mr. Grant could have brought a claim for phone hacking sooner had he had acknowledged of it. NGM was previously denied any unlawful activity took place at The Sun. Grant has been the public face of the hacking of campaign against the tabloid newspaper industry since it was launched at the height of the phone hacking scandal in 2011. In 2012, he became director of not-for-profit company set up by the Campaign for Press Reform. And press reform is something we are most desperately needed, guys. We need that Leveson inquiry so badly. So badly. I hope, proportional representation, media reform, those will make a massive difference toward, will make a massive difference. But Hugh Grant being paid out, and the fact that his lawyers were saying this says a lot. He really wanted to take them down. I generally believe, based on everything that he went through, what the papers did to him, I generally believe that he really wanted to take them down. He really wanted to bring them down. I really do, guys. But he's just looking at it from the money point of view. It's just it's just the cost of it all. And that's a real shame. It's a real shame that these media mongrels have so much power and influence and money. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I hate that he took that money. But at the same time, I also understand why he took the money, guys. You have to understand from his perspective why he took it. He also, his lawyers said, "Look, it's better that you take it. I understand you want this case and you want to win this case, but yeah, I know." Yeah, I'm upset too, Ollie. I'm upset too. Ollie's really mad about it. Ollie's infuriated about this. He hates Rupert Murdoch. He hates Rupert Murdoch and the damage that man is causing to this country with the papers he owns and the other media empire mongrels that have influence. He really does hate that, guys. He wants media reform just as much as I'm sure some of you guys do too. But we are in the situation that we are in. So, guys, I've got one more article for you guys. This one is from Barline Times, and it's regarding a little bit of the B word. Brexit ruined the stock market, and not even rejoining the EU will fix it. A leading writer on the economy explains why the underperformance of the stock market should shock and concern everyone. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this probably does not surprise me, because you can't just, when you've been going down a certain path for so long. And you simply think, yeah, just by rejoining the EU and everything will be fine. It's not as simple as that. And the other thing you have to remember is that we're talking about a good 10, 20 years before we even, are seriously joining the EU single market. It's not going to happen in a couple of years, guys. Let's be realistic. We're talking 10, 20 years, maybe even longer. And by then, so much damage will have been done, and it's going to take a long time for us. A long time to get anywhere near what we used to be before we left the EU. Businesses and that we had before, the products that we have imported in, they're costing more and they're going to be more of a hassle. There's so many negatives on Brexit, and I'm sure you guys know. This is going to hurt us for a good while. It's going to hurt us for a very good while, unfortunately. So let's hear what Stephen had to say. So Brexit wrecked the London stock market and the consequences have been disastrous. A leading writer on the economy has said, while suggesting the level of underperformance is so serious and astonishing, it should be front page news and a source of anguish debates in Parliament and in the media. Simon Nix, the one-time chief writer for The Times, the former chief European commentator on the Wall Street Journal and the author of The Wealth of Nations Substack, gave a deeply sobering analysis of Britain's financial failings of the latest Byline Times podcast out now. He spoke with Adrian Goldberg after publishing a post on the April 8th headlined, "How Brexit Wrecked the Stock Market," which labelled the decline so shocking it had no longer a global humanitarian but a national crisis, and he warned that bad policy choices threatened to make it worse. By the way, I think I've just missed an article, so we'll have one more after this, actually. Yeah, I missed the one from The Independent, so we'll come back to that after this. Sometimes you don't appreciate what you have got until it's gone. How soon before Britons wake up to a national disaster that unfolds in the stock market? Nixon asked at the start of his post. Rather than an example of British exceptionalism, the FTSE 100 is now the exception to a global recovery, he noted, explaining how since the beginning of January it is just up 2.4%. US shares are up 10%, Japan is over 8%, Germany 9%. I'm better off putting more taking. You're better off if you're like myself. I do have some stock and shares in the FTSE 100. I'm better off just taking it all out and putting it in other places at this point, because it's just it's a slug there now. It's not really that much stock and shares, to be fair. It's really not. But the sluggishness and stagnation isn't new. US stocks have been dramatically underperforming against the rest of the world since the Brexit referendum, he wrote. As an example, Nixon noted on his Substack that a £100 investment in the FTSE 100 in June 2016 would be worth £118. The same investment in the US would be worth £250. In Italy, £189. UK equities currently trade at 20% discount to the broader European markets on a price-to-earn basis and a 15% percent discount on the price-to-book basis, both near decades low. Nixon added before Brexit they traded at a premium. Poor valuation at London have also contributed to the collapse in the number of listed companies, down nearly 50% in 2023 alone. And the new listings have almost certainly dried up. Nixon's assessment on the current state of play the stock markets is sending a devastating message about the way that Britain is perceived among global investors. No amount of bullish bluster can hide the fact that Britain is a global outliner, nor should anyone be under any illusions about the consequences for the economy if this underperformance continues. This no longer is just an issue of concern for the few highly paid bank bonuses in the paid bankers in the city. This is an issue that goes to the heart of Britain's economy model and long-term prospects. Nixon told Byline Times podcast that the success of the stock market made London the financial centre of Europe in the world. And what is happening now is a matter of huge consequences and profound implications for Britain's future economic model. It means that part of the economic model of Britain that people have taken for granted is changing, and that's something we need to confront and think about. In his Substack post, Nixon says the stock market is being deglobalized, a historic reversal of decade-long trends. Investors, he told Byline Times podcast, that now shunning because of Brexit and the political chaos that came with it. Britain has become an unattractive, risky place to invest your money. Now that money is managed globally, and London is about 4% of the global equity pool. It's easy to write. It's an easy one to skip if you just don't like the look of it. The irony is that the very success of the stock market that sowed the seeds of the current crisis. Nixon wrote in his Substack that he went on to explain how, as the wealth of London grew, so did resemblance across the country, fueled by the global financial crisis of 2008 and subsequent bailouts. The city's wealth never trickled down, equality grew, and his resemblance was unquestionably a key factor in the Brexit vote of 2016, when half the country extracted their revenge on what they consider an arrogant global elite. The stock market, Nixon explained, not only helped defy Britain's economy, but also shaped the politics, contributing to the loop-side economy, and in a sense became a victim of his own success. While Brexit voters were fueled by the party's resemblance, Brexiteers were ignorant and took the city for granted, Nixon said. I think they've come to assume that it was something inherited in Britain, that it was a British exception, that Britain just had the city's back and always did. Rather, Nixon explained to Byline Times, the city had come less to rely on British exceptionalism and has come to depend actually on it being anchored at this giant single market. And that was something that wasn't understood. It certainly wasn't understood because Boris Johnson and his Brexit deal didn't even try to seek a deal for the city. On 23rd of June 2016, 51.9% of Brits voted in favour of leaving the EU, but that didn't actually happen until the 31st of January 2020. Stock market's underperformance, Nixon said, restarted to kick in June 2016 and it never recovered. The demise of the stock market, Nixon told the podcast, puts an entire ecosystem at risk, including lawyers and bankers, accountants, brokers and PR advisors who are also sitting there looking at their empty profit pools. Goldberg pointing out that the British public, battering at cost of living prices, probably wouldn't have much sympathy for people in high paid positions, before Nixon explained that without their contributions, government spending on public services would be impacting, making things even worse for everyone. Nixon has been writing about the underperformance of the stock market since Brexit, and the response has been, one, the deal was done, the gap will close, and that once the Conservatives get a stable government, foreign bidders will come in. But it's not happened, and it isn't happening. It hasn't happened. A journalist said arguments over regulation and tax incentives were missing the point, that this is a primary sentiment problem, first and foremost, and it's hard to see how one escapes that. The issue, Nixon said, is something that has been alarming people in the city for several years now. Goldberg questioned Nixon about whether rejoining the European Union could help solve the problem, but the writer didn't think that would ever happen or explain to get to that point. It would take years and it would be hugely politically concede, creating more instability. Nixon noted in his Substack that the fallout from the Brexit is on your destined to get worse, with grace periods in Johnson's exit deal expire as the EU regulators attempt to lure more businesses from London. Nixon said Labour's challenge, when they all in likelihood become the next government, will be not to fix the problem but to stop things from getting worse. And the bigger danger, Nixon wrote on Substack, is that their history will repeat, that the stock market will shape Britain's future just as it did in the past. While I don't know too much about the ins and outs of stock markets, and while I do, like I said, I do have some, but not that much, there's absolutely no question that Brexit has caused an impact on everything related to Britain. And this is another one of them. It's another one of them, guys. It's another one of those that has been suffering as a result of it. I don't really know what more to add to say that, you know, it was a terrible mistake and we should have, and people were lied to, and we should never have left the EU single market. And we were told we will not be leaving the English single market, and this, when people voted, we were told that, but we were lied to. And it's important that people remember that as well. I do have a funny video for you guys, but I'm going to save that to the end based on the fact that I completely missed an article, and I want to apologize, guys. Just want to make sure that this is on the right one. Yeah. So the one I missed in my for somehow, I don't know how I missed that in the funny video, but maybe it might be because I'm half asleep. I don't know. This last one, guys, from the Independent, is about the post office. The Post Office Chief Executive Nick Reeves exonerates all misconduct claims after the report. Nick Reed had been accused of bullying by the former chairman Henry Salton. I've said that before, that with regards to this post office inquiry, that, you know, are we going to see any criminal charges? The answer is no. I really don't think there is going to be. I'd like to think there is, guys, but I just don't think there is. And it's infuriating. It's infuriating. Post Office Chief Executive Nick Reed has been exonerated of all misconduct allegations following a report into his behaviour. The external report, which the Post Office has not released, why not, was said by the former chairman Henry Salton to contain allegations about Mr. Reed's conduct and his lack of management over many governances and compliance issues. If he's completely exonerated, why not release the report? What's the issue? Mr. Salton previously told the Business and Trade Committee that there was an attitude from Reed and his henchmen towards the company's former HR director as a pain in the backside, I'm going to say that word, for focusing on tackling the toxic culture rather than prioritising Reed's salary. He said the document, which referred to during the evidence to MPs in February, including Mr. Reed's badgering over his salary and repeated threats to resign. The Post Office said Mr. Salton's claims contained inaccuracies and falsehoods, and Mr. Reeves told his staff last month that he absolutely refutes bullying claims. On Wednesday, the organisers said the report, compiled by barristers Madison Tugan of Delaworks Chamber, has exonerated Mr. Reed of all misconduct allegations, and he had the united backing of the board. Spokesperson for the Department of Trade and Business, the DBT, said Mr. Reed has now the confidence of the government. In a statement, the Post Office said over the last few months, an independent barrister has been set up to speak up complaints into various allegations, including a number of misconduct allegations against our CEO, Nick Reed. Following several interviews and examinations of documents by the barrister, Nick has been exonerated of all the misconduct allegations and has the full and unite backing of the board to continue to lead the business. The board regards the Speak Up process as crucial to the opening and support culture it wants to encourage at the Post Office. The integrity of that Speaks Up process relies on confidentiality for whistleblowers and therefore will not be providing further detail on this and other Speak Up investigations. It is unacceptable that this specific process was referred to in the public domain, but notwithstanding that, the Post Office wants to make clear that Speak Up allegations will always be thorough and consistently investigated, whoever they are aiming at. The Post Office said the external investigators have made recommendations on improving that can be made in the company's processes. The statement added these recommendations are helpful and we will ensure that they are properly and promptly addressed going forward. A DTP spokesperson said ministers are pleased to confirm that the independent barristers have cleared the Post Office CEO Nick Reed of the allegations against him and he remains in post and has the confidence of the government. We feel this report has drawn a line under the issue and now regard the matter as closed, which allows us to turn off our full attention to ensure post office masters are compensated quickly and fairly. The government has already paid out $190 million in over 2,800 post office victims. This comes as legislation made its way from Parliament to squash the convictions of hundreds of innocent sub-postmasters wrongly convicted as a result of the Horizon scandal. I don't know if Nick Reed should be exonerated, but I haven't seen that information. Why is my phone going off like that? I have no idea. So I can't answer that question, guys. I just feel like that everything that's happening here is just so infuriating, guys. I just feel... Okay, it's just something else, don't worry. I just feel like... It's not serious, don't worry. I just wish I wish the Post Office was not in the situation it was in. I wish the Post Office was never privatised. I wish that these people were not, that so many people were not screwed over by the Horizon scandal. I wish the people running it were not just milking the money for their own interest. I just feel like that there are so many issues with the Post Office, and there are more priorities about them making money than the interest of what they're actually supposed to be doing, and that's providing the service. Less and less letters are coming through the doors now. And they don't want to make things difficult. And I hate this. I hate the Post Office now. There was a time, that and the Royal Mail, and it just stinks. Everything that's happened really does. I don't really know what more to add on that, guys. What I can add is a funny video to wrap things up on Regan's Newsround. I should have had this in the middle, guys, but I hope you guys enjoy this little funny video here. This is from a Foreign Arms with the headline, what's it? Headline, Anti-Environmentalism. So it's a mockery of climate change. But I hope you guys enjoy it anyway.
What's going on?
I'm trying to save the planet, Chris. If you haven't noticed, there's an environmental crisis. So can you get out of my way, please?
Are you burning tyres?
Tyres, plastics, printers, aerosols, whatever we can get our hands on.
What?
Anti-environmentalism.
Anti-environmentalism?
Yeah, it's a new environmentalism. Nothing is happening, okay? And it's painfully obvious that things are going to have to get an awful lot worse before they get better. We're just trying to accelerate that process.
To save the planet, you gotta destroy it first.
How is that ever going to work?
Well, everything else has failed, hasn't it? Science, deadlines, patronising informative leaflets, Al Gore.
I've got all the attic insulation out.
Quick, just add it to the burn. In just 40 minutes, we have halved the energy rating of this house. That's progress.
Can someone help me get these windows down to single pane?
Yeah, there in a minute.
No one is ever going to go along with this, okay? It's insane.
Well, that's not true, because some of the world's top anti-environmentalists have been toiling away for years.
Bolsonaro,
Mohammed bin Salman.
Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like any of the stuff here is going to make any difference at all.
Everybody needs to play their part, Chris, right? I mean, you can't just leave it to the oil companies. That's a big cop-out.
No, I mean, I'm trying to source all my fruit and veg now from New Zealand.
I thought you grew your own vegetables.
You know what I do, but now I'm exporting them to New Zealand.
And saving the planet doesn't have to cost the earth. I mean, I can't afford a private jet or fracking equipment, but I can still collect empty bottles and return them to the oceans and rivers.
You see? We all got to do our part, just a little bit here and there.
All right, it's go time.
What's happening?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to go throw soup at the Mona Lisa.
You're throwing soup at the Mona Lisa?
Yeah. Well, excuse, it's not the actual Mona Lisa, that's in France. It's the Mona Lisa takeaway in Crumlin.
Yeah,
basically the same thing.
What?
Hey, guys.
Yeah, apparently it's the same thing, guys. It's the same thing. Same thing, isn't it, Ollie? Same thing. Yeah, let's see if I can actually, you know... Oh, what's that, Ollie? Ollie's a lot happier now. Ollie's happy. And the lava lamp has formed right at the end of the show as well. It's formed in all its glory, the lava lamp and the orb. I'm sure we just saw him. We've seen this penguin from somewhere. I still don't know who he's named, but I still think he's related to that penguin from Wallace and that show film from Wallace and Gromit. Maybe that's just me. But anywho, guys, we have reached the end of Regan's News Round. My apologies, I got got them mixed up. Mixed up the schedule, but we got everything in place. But what did you guys make of some of the stories we covered today? So we talked about asylum seekers. Talked about Nigel Farage and what happened at the Brussels conference, the pensioners situation, the Rwanda bill, post office, and Hugh Grant, the Brexit and the stock market. What do you guys make of all these stories? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. All your feedback is greatly appreciated. Thank you everybody who's watched in the premiere chat, who've watched along. But just before you guys go, if you haven't already, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video, and subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.